You've asked yourself, what's wrong with me? And found nothing helpful in the answer. And now you've reached a deeper, haunting question. Why is everything such a constant uphill battle? That question feels like defeat, but it's actually the beginning of real understanding. Because this heaviness you've been carrying isn't proof that you're broken. It isn't evidence that you're spiritually weak or mentally fragile. It might actually be the key to identifying a spiritual struggle you were never taught to recognize. You felt it for a long time, a kind of invisible resistance, a slow, grinding friction against life itself. Nothing catastrophic has happened. There's no dramatic collapse, no crisis to point to, just a persistent pressure that makes even small things feel heavy. It's this sense that you're walking uphill every single day, and you're starting to wonder if you'll ever reach level ground again. Meanwhile, you look at the people around you and they seem fine. They seem to have an energy you can't find, a momentum you can't build. And so the question turns inward, but this time with a sharper, more condemning edge. Why am I so weak? Why can't I handle this? If my faith were stronger, if I were more disciplined, if I were just better, this wouldn't feel so hard. That internal monologue is familiar to so many faithful, high-functioning believers. People who show up, people who serve, people who care, people who carry weight often more than anyone around them ever sees. And almost no one has ever explained to them that the weight pressing against their life might not be their failure, but resistance. Before we go any further, hear this. If these words are resonating, if something inside you feels seen or exposed or understood in a way you didn't expect, pause right here and subscribe. Like the video, not because it helps me, but because someone else somewhere is carrying the exact same weight you're carrying. And your engagement is what tells the algorithm to put this message in their path. Let's talk about what this heaviness really is. Sometimes life doesn't come with a crisis. It comes with a slow drain. You wake up exhausted, not sleepy, exhausted. Exhausted in your bones, exhausted in your soul. Your thoughts feel foggy, like you're trying to think through smoke. Your emotions are either muted or unpredictable. Tasks that once were simple now feel overwhelming. You're still functioning, still showing up, but the fuel tank is beyond empty. And because nothing big happened to cause this, you assume you're the problem. You assume you're weak. You assume you lack discipline. You assume that a stronger Christian wouldn't feel this way. That assumption is the beginning of spiritual burnout. Burnout isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's not a crash. It's a slow erosion, a draining of the inner life that happens so gradually you don't even realize it's happening. The signs start small, a creeping cynicism where joy used to live, a quiet withdrawal from people you love, a sense of disconnection from your own life, prayer that feels like it's hitting the ceiling, scriptures that feels flat and lifeless, a growing emotional numbness. You aren't just tired. Something in you is shutting down. Imagine a well dry. You keep lowering the bucket because people need what you have. They need your strength, your presence, your leadership, your peace, your guidance, your support. But every time the bucket goes down, all you hear is the hollow scrape of metal against stone. You are giving from emptiness, pouring from what you don't have, serving from a place that once held water, but doesn't anymore. And here's the strange part. Because the collapse hasn't happened yet, because you're still moving, still producing, still functioning, you think everything is fine. But inside, the corrosion has begun. Burnout is not simply tiredness. It is a deactivating state, a state of emotional and spiritual shutdown. It's not anxiety pushing you forward. It's apathy pulling you backward. It's not friction motivating change. It's emptiness whispering that nothing matters. It's a challenge to overcome. It's a heaviness you can't explain. But what if that heaviness isn't proof of weakness? What if it's proof of opposition? Scripture pulls back the curtain in Ephesians 6:12, where we're reminded that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, not against our own limitations, our own thoughts, our own emotions, but against spiritual forces of resistance. This isn't about Hollywood-style demons. It's about understanding that not everything pressing against your soul is circumstantial or psychological. Some of it is spiritual. Imagine your soul is a compass. It naturally wants to point toward God, toward truth, toward connection, toward peace. But the world is full of magnetic interference. The pressure to perform, the constant comparison of social media, unresolved wounds, the nonstop noise of fear-based news, fatigue, shame, distraction, all of this pulls at the needle. That daily uphill feeling, that's the compass fighting to point north. Resistance doesn't always hit like a catastrophic blow. Often it wears you down slowly. It whispers condemnation. It amplifies shame. It magnifies self-blame. It convinces you that your exhaustion is proof that you're the problem. If it can make you isolate, if it can make you withdraw, if it can make you hide your struggles, it wins without ever needing to destroy you. This is why the most faithful people, the most responsible, committed, caring believers are often the ones who burn out the hardest. Because responsibility without renewal is the perfect setup for exhaustion. When your identity gets tied to what you produce, when serving becomes who you are instead of what you do, you become vulnerable to a kind of spiritual corrosion that goes unnoticed until it's too late. Look at Elijah. One day he's calling down fire from heaven. The next day he is running for his life, collapsing in the wilderness, begging God to take him home. This wasn't weakness. It wasn't failure. It wasn't lack of faith. It was exhaustion. And God didn't rebuke him. God didn't lecture him. God didn't tell him to pray harder. God sent an angel with food, water, and rest because God knows that a depleted body and a weary soul cannot hear spiritual truth. Jesus never shamed the tired. Never. Not once did he say, try harder, or be more disciplined, or why can't you get it together? His invitation was simple and direct. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Weariness isn't a problem to fix before coming to Jesus. Weariness is the qualification for coming to him. Your exhaustion isn't a disqualification, it's an invitation. So, how do you fight without burning out? You start by naming the battle. Stop calling your exhaustion a personal flaw. Shame thrives in misdiagnosis. When you say, something is pushing against me, you take back authority. You open the door to healing instead of condemnation, and you begin simplifying. This is not the season to add more weight to your life. This is the season to reduce your load. Slow down. Sit with your symptoms without judging them. Ask, what is draining me? And listen for God's gentle answers. Next, secure the mind. Spiritual battles are won in the patterns of thought, not in the outburst. Pay attention to the loops, the self-criticism, the hopelessness, the cynicism. These aren't random thoughts. They're the pressure points of opposition. Don't argue with them. Introduce truth to them, not as homework, but as nourishment. Read scripture the way you drink water when you're dehydrated. Slowly, gently, consistently. Let it wash over you rather than trying to conquer it. And secure your body. Sleep is not unspiritual. Rest is not laziness. Jesus slept in storms. He withdrew from crowds. He honored his limits. You can't have a healthy soul while abusing your body. Rest is not a reward. It is worship. Finally, Stay connected. Isolation is never harmless. It's never just being alone. It is a strategy of spiritual warfare. The enemy isolates so he can intimidate. A weary soldier, surrounded, supported, prayed for, encouraged, becomes a fortress. You don't need a crowd. You need one or two trusted people you can be honest with. People you can say, I'm tired, in a way I can't explain. That confession breaks spiritual momentum like nothing else. If this message has put language to the exhaustion you have been feeling, then hear this clearly. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are waking up to a battle you were never taught to name. And naming it is the beginning of freedom. The uphill battle doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. It means you're finally becoming aware of the resistance that's always been there. This isn't the moment to give up. It's the moment to breathe, to rest, to be honest, to reconnect, to let God meet you where you actually are, not where you wish you were. And if this helped you, subscribe, share it. Someone else needs to hear that your exhaustion is not failure. It's fatigue, and fatigue can be healed. You're not losing. You're not done. You're not disqualified. You're weary, and Jesus meets the weary. Always. You're not disqualified. You're redeployed.